My one for the road. You hear that? My run for the road. It does also take me to the soundtrack to even a safer future.
Yeah.
We are not daunted. We shall not waver.
Election fever in Grenada. The place heating up, the thing heating up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special live broadcast here on a Ride Along Live Election Fever, where the Prime Minister of Grenada just recently announced, just as a few minutes ago, the date of the next general election. Yes, we're going to tell you all about it. If you missed it, we're going to talk about it. I want you guys to call in. I want you guys to communicate. The next general election date has been officially announced. Welcome to this brand new late evening, Sunday evening, Saturday evening broadcast of Ride Along Live. I am still recovering from a grand party last night, guys, hence the voice singing like this. But we had to do this. We had to get you guys a live reaction on election in Grenada. And what does it mean? How much time do you have? What's up? Everything that you need to know. We're going to discuss it right here on the Ride Along tonight. All right? So as you're coming, guys, go up and share the program. Also share the phone number as well, because we want to connect with you guys and chat a bit about what's happening, what just happened, and the way forward. 718-701-5720. Welcome again, Jaden. How you doing? Hey, good evening. Veronica, how you doing? Lydia Alexander, thank you so much, and welcome to this broadcast, special ride-along broadcast for tonight.
In a country that wants selflessness and charity, we are asking you to keep this nation in the safest hands.
We're getting everything in real time, guys. We are getting everything in real time. We're getting everything in real time right now. We're getting everything in real time, and it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff, guys.
Sisters and brothers,
I'm getting emails, texts flying from all over.
No.
Yeah, it's coming in from all over. And we're going to start off with your reaction, guys. Official election date has been announced for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. The date is set. The date is officially set. And I want to know what you guys think about the election date. Brand new election date. Nomination date was announced as well.
The Governor General to issue the writs for the election on Tuesday.
Hey, Marvin Nelson, how you doing? Raleigh and John, how you doing? Welcome to the ride. Welcome to the ride, guys. Open up the phone lines right now, guys, from the beginning. 718-701-5720. We're opening up the phone line right now. Get your reaction on this election date in Grenada has been officially announced. Election date in Grenada has been officially announced, and some people was saying that quite possibly election would be somewhere before Carnival, and it is.
See these people here?
And it is.
None of us are parliamentarians anymore. So
all right, guys, so here are the information, right? Election date will be on Thursday. Get it? Thursday, June 23rd. Thursday, June 23rd. Nomination day for candidates would be Wednesday, June 1st. Police is going to be voting on June 20th.
Officers will be voting.
And Parliament will be officially dissolved on Monday. This coming Monday. They
have to vote.
The writ would be issued one day after that. One day after.
June, sorry.
So, guys, I believe that means that you have only one day
the 23rd of
left
June,
to register. And people say, well, you know what? Mass must play.
We ready
Mass
to vote.
must play.
Thursday, June 23rd.
718-701-5720, guys. That's my number. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thought process on what we just heard here today. Let me hear your thought process on what you heard here today.
Sunday,
the Prime Minister just announced the official date for the election in a meeting held in Telescope, St. Andrew. Some folks are celebrating. Some folks are happy that they now know the date of the election. Some folks are ready to vote. Some people who usually, some procrastinators that didn't get an opportunity yet to register are saying, oh my God, no, I have only 1 day left. Yeah? This was the announcement made by the Prime Minister a little bit earlier today. We're trying to get that information, everything up for you guys, the video, the visual, the audio.
If you're ready to vote, I want the answer.
Yes, okay, so this was the actual announcement. This was the actual announcement that was this was the actual announcement by the Prime Minister. Trying to queue up all the video, guys. Queue up all the video. But let me go in first, guys. Let me know what you guys think about election date, the time, June 23rd, Thursday, June 23rd. What do you guys think? Call me up right now. Call me up right now. Let us talk. 718-701-5720. 718-701-5720.
23rd of June.
Let me queue it up. I'm still trying to queue up. I tell you, we operating in real time, eh? Real time. This is the Prime Minister's announcement.
It is people like you. The farmers of Budgrove and all parts of Grenada, Carriacou and Petimanic. The fishermen of Grove and Grand Mole, Carriacou and Petimanic. The fishermen of Grove and Grand Mole and St. Andrews and all parts of the country. The boat builders in Harveyville, in Carriacou. The fishermen of Grove and Grand Mole and St. Andrews and all parts of the country.
Again, guys, the date has been officially announced, and this is your reaction. The date has been officially announced. Thursday, June 23rd. Thursday, June 23rd. Your reaction on this, just announced by the Prime Minister. Thursday, June 23rd. The date where Grenadian is going to go to the poll.
And grandans and throw the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou and Petimanic.
We're waiting on some of my guests right now. We're waiting on some of my guests to jump in to analyze this information that just came in. Digesting all the dates, digesting everything that we just heard. And of course, most importantly, your reaction, guys, your reaction on the date for the election.
I stand here tonight, and believe me,
telling you, we're taking everything in real
And
time.
wonder.
So we
And I say,
have some
what have I?
real time issues, visual, video issues there. We are resolving
Done
it
to
right
deserve your love.
now.
Done to deserve your love.
Stand by, guys. Stand by as we resolve our video issues and get our guests
Forgiveness.
in.
Your
Start this conversation on election fever in Grenada T2.
us. Your belief in me.
All right, so a lot of people are saying that they are surprised that it's such short notice. A lot of people did not expect for some reason that the election would be called so soon. And some people are somehow caught, as they say, with their pants down because they're not ready. They have not yet registered. But it's something that we have been speaking about for a long time, guys.
That is brighter than
We have been
all.
speaking about getting registered
There is a
and
dream
preparing
forever.
yourself for election. All right,
This
on the
is
line
a
with me
force.
now
There
we
is a
have
force.
Samson. Let me see if we could bring
That is
Samson
stronger
in.
than all of us.
Samson, are you there?
That's why we're here tonight.
Samson, are you there?
There is a light
Can you hear me?
that is brighter.
Hi, Samson. Yes, yeah, we're hearing you. We had some real critical issues earlier, but we got Samson, and of course we have Janice, who is also joining us to analyze what we saw here today. The election date has been officially announced. Samson, are you there? Samson.
Yeah, I'm here.
Samson. Okay, all right. Okay, we got it going right now. Samson, your reaction on what you heard here today? The date has been officially announced, June 23rd. Were you surprised, sir?
I got to say I was not surprised fully, like 100% surprised. Primarily because of the ongoing COVID situation in the island. I believe that we have crossed 1,000 cases, and the cases are rising as the day continues. And so, if you want to have a successful campaign, and with what I have seen tonight in terms of the crowd and the not wearing a face mask and the lack for social distancing, etc. I was expecting that the election was going to be called somewhere between the ending of June to early July. But what I did expect was for another week or so period with the Miranda of issues that the electoral offices have been facing. We have been hearing the cries of closure in offices and system down in certain offices, etc., and persons who are trying to get registered. I expected that some leniency would have been given, so that persons would have at least tried to get their registration in before the wreath of the election was issued. Unfortunately, they only have one day. So that means that the electoral offices will be overwhelmed on Monday. So I think that there was no concern given for those poor workers of the electoral office who now have a daunting task in terms of getting persons registered on Monday.
Right. Oh, we also have Janice on the line. Janice, could you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys loud and clear.
All right, Janice, good. Janice, if you could position yourself a little bit in the middle of the camera so we get your visual properly. You kind of center to the side a bit. Just get yourself right in the middle there. All right,
Is that better?
perfect. That's much better. Janice, the date has been officially announced. This is it, June 23rd. What's your initial reaction?
Well, incidentally, it's the day after my birthday. But it's not about me today. I mean, I am not surprised because in the back of my mind I was always thinking that the election would be called before Carnival, and that if whichever side wins, and I believe the fact that the Prime Minister called the election this time, I think he feels as if he has a good chance, then this Carnival would be a good time to perhaps celebrate or grieve. So it doesn't surprise me. We knew it was coming, and it's here. So it's time for work. No more, watching and see what would happen. The date has been announced, and it's time for people to get serious. It's time for Grenadians to go out and make their last ditch effort to get themselves registered. I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, I live in the diaspora. And of course, in the diaspora, we have a tendency to be very opinionated. But we don't get to a large extent, those of us living outside of Grenada, we don't get to influence the results of the election. It's the people that are on the ground. They're the ones that have to make sure that it happens. So we can talk as much as we want to in the diaspora. The only way we can really help is putting our money where our mouth is. Like I've always said, campaigns cost, and every penny, every little bit of money, it would be required to really help the NDC to be a viable competitor in this
Well,
election. So,
well, the question of the diaspora and the people here in the diaspora having the opportunity to influence or have a voice in the election.
yes.
Samson, what do you think about the time frame? Does that give the people in the diaspora sufficient time? And also, do you think that the other sides have been prepping up, and do you think that they are ready for June 23rd?
And no, that was actually the other point I wanted to make, but I wanted to give Janice an opportunity to speak as well. For persons like myself, who's also in the diaspora, it doesn't give us any time whatsoever to make necessary arrangements in terms of, and then we're coming into the summer period as well. And Janice raised a very important point. If, and note this word very strongly, if we do have a carnival celebration this year, it means that persons would therefore have to see the time off in June, and then again 1 month later in July in order to partake of the festive activities. I don't think it gives enough time. However, I don't think that is what is critical. I think what is critical is the fact that that this is something that our Grenadian population has been calling for. They've been calling for election. They've been saying for a while, ring the bell. They want the bell. They wanted the bell to be rung, and I think they got that tonight. What they do on June 23rd, of course, that is their constitution and constitutional responsibility and right. But as I said, I do strongly believe that one of the decisions to call the elections in such short order, one, is that persons do still believe that the NDC is not yet ready. And that's primarily because a lot of the candidates were only recently announced. The full slate of candidates was announced maybe about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, just around 2 months. I don't book me on this. And so they still have a lot of work to do in the various constituencies across the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Martinique. And so this doesn't give them time. It means that they have to do a lot of groundwork in the morning and rallies and so on and so forth in the afternoon, village meetings and so on and so forth, which therefore means that over the next 4 or so weeks, it's going to be a daunting uphill task. But what I do believe, Junior, is that a fair amount of Grenadians have already made a decision as to where their vote is going.
Exactly.
And so all that is going to be happening over the next couple of weeks is just basically concreting and solidifying the message that is being put out from the various platforms. And so the Prime Minister spoke about that tonight. He did say in the coming weeks he's going to be putting out more and more information as to the policy and the vision. And I guess so too with the NDC. I know that the young Deacon Mitchell said that every Wednesday going forward. I'm not sure if that schedule, that plan will be maintained, but every Wednesday going forward, that they are going to be putting forward a new topic and a new area of interest for the Grenadian people. Um,
Yes.
but I want to make a very strong statement here. I want to say to the young people in particular, those of you who have attained the age of 18 within the last 12 months or so, that they should really try and get registered rather on Monday and add their voice, whichever way, to the count on June 23rd.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a song that we've been singing for a while, right? We've been telling people and advocating for people to go out and register. You don't have an extra week, you don't have an extra 5 days or 7 days or 30 days. You have one day because from the date that the writ has been so you have the writ is going to be issued. So nomination. Hold on. Let's go back again. On the 16th, Parliament would be resolved. The day
That's
after
Monday, Tuesday.
that happens to be my official birthday, right? There have been a lot of unofficial ones, but that's the official one. And the day after Parliament would be resolved. So you have, I mean, the day after the writ would be issued. So you have one day, which is that Monday, to get registered. So this is a song that we've been singing and singing and singing to go get registered. Janice, I don't know about your ground game. Do you think that people actually took heed to that? Do you think that sufficient people register or was just procrastinating down the hill?
I mean, unfortunately, I do not have that kind of data. But what I do believe, and I'll tell you that, I believe that this election, um, this is a movement. It's a movement for change. And I think the short time that I spent in Grenada, in fact, I spent a month in Grenada. I just returned just last weekend. And I honestly believe that there is a movement for change. And I believe that a lot of people are registered. A lot of people want to see some kind of change. And I think people are going to go out and people are going to do what they have to do. I think people are really, really excited about this election. It's a unique one. And yeah.
Yeah. Samson, have you been hearing things on the ground from the procrastinators? Do you think that people actually heed the call that what we've been speaking about for the number of weeks for people to go out and register?
Yeah, I do think so. I do think that persons have been going out to get registered. I think we get a sense of that from the fact that there have been a lot of complaints about either the office being closed or the system being down, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that persons are going out and register, but I think that there's still a mass number of persons who probably believe, well, I do have some time. The election date has not been called, and so on and so forth, and so I have some time. And as I said earlier, now that this announcement has been made, it shows that you cannot procrastinate in terms of of election, as to, because at the end of the day, the prime minister is the one who holds the bell, as we call it. And so once that bell is rung, there's no turning back. And so I still want to urge people that go out and get registered once you can. Monday is the last day. The offices, I believe, open from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., whichever. Try your best to get registered. Once you're in the line at 3 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, they can turn you away. And I know that I saw an announcement, I believe it was on the electoral office, that says if you were registered and your ID card is expired, you still can vote once you're registered to vote and your name is on that list in the constituency, the particular constituency, you can vote. And so if you're already registered, your ID card, like mine, is expired, you can still vote in the general election. So I think persons need to check the list tonight, tomorrow. Check the list, see if your name is there. If your name is not on the list, you still have time to go out on Monday morning and try and get registered to be a part of the general elections on June 23rd. It is your constitutional duty, whether you choose to vote NNP, NDC, Power, whichever one of the political party vying for a seat in the national parliament. It is your choice, it's your constitutional duty. No one can take that from you. You do as you so please.
Right.
Absolutely.
What you guys think about this climate that we're in, where the workers are clamoring to get finalization on a judgment? Who does this favor? Who does this climate favor at this point? Do you think, Janice? Do you have what's your take on it?
The workers in reference to the teachers or civil
Well,
servants?
the workers, the even the, I mean, not only the teachers, they are in, they are, uh, might be, if this situation is not resolved. I know if you have any information on Samson, that they might be quite possibly picketing and be out on the road. Who does this favor in this political climate now that election is here?
Well,
and
as far
people
as,
are
I
on
mean,
the
I
road?
know you had asked me that question earlier, but I feel like I mean, a judgment was made.
Right,
And regardless of who ends up in office after the election, we expect that it would be exercised as per the judgment.
right.
However, who does it favor? We really, I mean, that's a difficult question. I don't know if Samson have anything.
So, Samson, who do you think? Who do you think that this climate would favor?
Um, I am trying my best not to seem on any political side of the spectrum tonight. I'm trying to be as general and realistic as possible. But I do believe that we have to understand two very important things when it comes to the whole issue of pension. One is that the government of Grenada is the second largest employer in the state of Grenada, and that's after St. George's University, or St. George's University, the government, whichever. They are the two largest employers in Grenada. And when you're talking about pensions, you're talking about voters. You're talking about, in many cases, the undecided voters, the voters who holds the result of an election in their hand. You're not talking about the young people. You're talking about the persons 50 and above. Those who sit and watch an election campaign rally and listen for policies, listen for the different announcements, whatever the plans of the party is. These are the people that are affected solely by um, the policy. And so what you find happened is that the present administration, the last election in 2018, would have announced that they have resolved the pension issue, and so after that, in the new term, the teachers took to the street in protest action against the fact that the pension was not paid, or the government reneged on their promise. And what happened is that the teachers' salaries were deducted at one of the most serious times of the year, which is around December time. And so I think all of that is going to carry on in the elections, in the minds of the voters.
Right.
Then we have the decision, the court decision. And to date, the NMP has not said if we are going to pay the pension or we're not going to pay the pension.
Now, the prime minister said that he will. He will.
Said it
He will.
tonight. Said it tonight. He said
Right.
in the coming days that he's going to tell the Ghanaian public how they're going to pay the pension, which
Right.
is reneging on something that he said in his last national address when he
Right.
announced that a committee was established.
And he would not appeal. He would not appeal the judgment.
He did say he wasn't going to appeal the judgment, but he
Right.
said that committee was established, headed by Dr.
Right.
Patrick Antoine, to see how they're going to go about dealing with this whole pension, not to pay, how they're going to go about dealing with the pension issue.
Right.
And so the NDC has come forward and said, we are going to pay the pension. They too have not presented any method as to how the pension is going to be paid. And I think that is the question. Because we're
Right.
talking about going right back to 1985 and come forward and paying the estate of persons who have died and persons who are still alive. Their
Yes.
pension. Talking about thousands of persons here. And
Yes.
so I think this whole pension issue is a topical issue for the voters at this time. And I
Yes.
think
Absolutely.
it forms one of the decisions in
Right.
who they're going to vote for. Because
Right.
at this time, when the world is in a global economic crisis, when the prices are going up drastically around the world for fuel, for food, for travel, for shipping, all of those costs are going
Yes.
up. People need money. And so
Yeah.
if the pension is a way of them getting money and you are taking that away from them, then we have a serious problem.
On the line right now, we have Mr. Michael Batiste. Michael, are you there? Could you hear us?
Hi, hi, hi. A pleasant evening to everyone. Pleasant evening, my brother.
Yes, Michael. Michael, thank you so much for calling in. What's your reaction on this election date, June 23rd, 2022? What's your take, Michael?
Well, I think the Prime Minister have used the law and the power of the incumbency to his advantage. I mean, here he have a team that's well known to the nation. I think it's only probably one new person he has on board, as opposed to an opposition that's coming in with relatively new faces. Even the leader himself is not well known throughout the length and breadth of Grenada. So I think it is a strategic move. Not much time for campaigning. I heard the previous speaker talk about the pension issue. I want to disagree a little bit. While the pension is an issue for some, I think with a country with high unemployment, underemployment, the major issue affecting people now is how you improve on the standard of living for the ordinary Grenadian.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that have been unemployed for a long time. So a pension issue would not affect them. The pension issue would not affect them in any possible way.
Mm-hmm.
There are thousands of young people in the money who are working, but they don't have a job. They're not secured by a pension. They can't go to the banks and all of that. So the pension issue is not affecting. The Prime Minister knows who he's talking to. His supporters are not moved by the pension issue. The civil servants, yes. They are public officers, yes. But he can get by elections without having to worry so much. I think the key here is the time for campaigning. There's not much time left. I think it's less than 5 Sundays, and with 15 candidates, you would need rallies and time for exposure. The leader himself has to sell his message to the electorate. The candidates themselves will have to do so. So I think I wouldn't say anyone is caught off guard, but I think the timing and the short time for campaigning is critical.
Mm-hmm.
As a fact, a candidate has just opened up his constituency office yesterday, so which means he didn't have much time to settle in. And so too is most of the newcomers. The faces are new. They are not known to the electorate.
Right.
So the minister is now talking, and if you listen to the theme of his campaign, he's talking about safer hands. Now that means a lot, as opposed to a group of people relatively unknown who not much people know nothing about. So I think it's a strategic move. He would he would tend to benefit from that in terms of he's always campaigning. The ministers are there, they're on the ground, they're doing things. There's a lot of electioneering work taking place in the country, so he'll benefit from that.
Right.
In fact, I have to agree here with Mr. Batiste strongly, because over the last couple of weeks, I've seen like a lot of electioneering, and not electioneering, but a lot of campaigning. And it seems as if it was being done in open daylight under the guise of the launch of this person or this candidate, or the endorsement of this candidate. But the truth and in fact is that the representatives were getting in front of people in mass numbers. So yes, so I think this has been happening for a while. It is extremely strategic. I know in the United States, in the last there has been a lot of talk about voter suppression. While voter suppression may not necessarily be illegal in any sense, but it's any move, any strategic move that really stops a person from taking full advantage of getting registered and voting and having one day to vote. I mean, forget ringing of the bell and forget like actual election day. That's going to happen anyway, and I think everybody expected it. But to literally have one day to get registered, I'm not very comfortable with that.
Michael, do you get this sense on the ground? We were speaking about this on the panel earlier, that this song has been sung over and over for people to go and get registered. Do you get this sense on the ground that people took heed to that, or there are still a lot of procrastinators that thought that they had more time?
Well, from my experience, it's always difficult to get people to register, especially people supporting opposition parties. It's very, very difficult. Whereas the government have the machinery, they have the enticement, they with jobs and some things in the communities or promises, which they have at their disposal. They have the infrastructure. They can send out their team to get you to register, go into your house and bring in niceties and all of that. Whereas it's far more difficult. And in the case of the opposition, you have to get excited that you want to see that change. And people talk the change, but when it comes down to reality, you have to post them. There's a lot of people out there making a lot of noise and they're not registered, and it's hard, very difficult to get people to register, especially as opposition members. But the government don't have such a problem. As I said, they have the infrastructure, they have the facilities, and they have the programs that they could entice you with. So the advantage is to the NNP at this time, as far as I see it, in terms of how they've been operating. If you look at Grenville, they have been doing a lot of work in the town of Grenville, the sidewalks and all of that throughout the constituency, infrastructural work taking place, things are happening, they're enticing people. And when they give you a job, then they want to ensure that you're registered to vote. I mean, they will bring you to the polling division, to the polling office to register you. So as opposed to opposition, sometimes you don't have the resources. The candidate themselves don't have the resources. They're inexperienced. They don't know what it's all about. They leave it up to you, the individual, hoping that you're motivated and want to change, and you will go out and register. Inexperienced. They don't know what it's all about. They leave it up to you, the individual.
Someone has a playback. All right, go ahead. Michael is still there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm saying that to you.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael. Go ahead. Janice, I think your audio is coming through, Janice. So just mute down whatever you have in the background there. It's giving us a feedback.
Michael is still there?
Yeah. Michael, go right ahead.
Being excited about the candidate. Will get you to rush to register. And I didn't feel that. I didn't see that on the ground. I mean, it's sad to say, I didn't see it on the ground at all. I think this election could be a very low turnout as well. I feel it. I think there's a lot of people that's not registered. There's not much enthusiasm on either side. I mean, if you look at some of the NNP regions, yes, they have the turnouts have been less than spectacular, and when you look at the participation, the enthusiasm is just not there. Mm-hmm. I think with a strong, vibrant, aggressive campaign, the NNP can be in for a tough time. But I'm not seeing that at this time.
Right. Again, guys, we're getting your reaction on the news that was just breaking news here, coming in to Ride Along Live. The Prime Minister just announced the election date, the official election date, and that's going to be on June 23rd, 2023. Samson, right before we went to Michael, I know you had some very bad news. We are sorry that you had to deal with this and that. So, but we understand that if you have to take a break and go out, we understand that you had some devastating news that just came to you, Samson.
Sorry, my whole train of thought left me. I apologize. It's still some of it is still coming in. Is a young lady from our church who she should be about what 21, 22, just thereabout. Died tonight from COVID related at a hospital here on Montserrat. So I'm just trying to digest the reality of that. But I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, my eyes are all red and everything else. But I wanted to agree with I think that's Michael Batiste.
Michael Batiste, yes.
Former. He's my auntie's neighbor, and I just lost my grandmother as well on Thursday, so it's quite a challenging time for me. But I want to agree with what he said. The NNP does have an advantage and the upper hand in this general election, in the terms of the party having the mechanisms and the machinery to pull this off. And I don't think that the Prime Minister would have called the election in just about 5 weeks if he wasn't sure that they were able to pull it off in such a short space of time. And then again, one of the things I was pondering on a little time ago is that the Prime Minister really and truly, he has to go into July with this. It has to be the first 2 weeks of July, which didn't work so well the very last time. I think we had an election on July 13th or something of that sort, which was very close.
It was March 13th. The last one was March 13th.
We had an election, I believe, in 2008.
Yeah, we did have an election sometime in July.
And
yeah,
it pulled so close to Carnival that it literally affected the Carnival itself, because a lot of the activities had to be pushed down to allow for last-minute campaigns and stuff like that. And I don't think history wanted to repeat itself, and so the Prime Minister aborted that and preferred to go at the ending of June, leaving into a month of July for whatever Carnival, if we are to have a Carnival festivity with the way the COVID cases are going. For the NDC, as I said, I think that they are at a disadvantage in terms of the fact that the candidates are very, very new. Some of them was announced just about a month or two ago. They have been from social media postings in the community, working in the community, and so on and so forth. But I do believe that there is a lot more work that needs to be done. And so if they were to pull through and win the election, they have double the task. That is, they have to do what is required in terms of building that momentum in the constituencies, as well as fulfilling on the election promises that they would have made during the very short campaign. And so they have an uphill task for the NNP candidates. They just basically, it's business as usual, They have continued to build. They have continued to work. I can say for Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters, she has been working. I've been following her. Delmar has been working. I've been following her as well. They have been putting in the work, and I do believe that whoever the candidates in these areas, it's going to be a task. But what I'm concerned about, what my major concern is, the opportunity for the young voters, those that would have turned 18 within the last 12 months or so, their ability to be a part of this election. And of course, Junior, let's be realistic. Us as young people, we like to procrastinate. We like to wait until the last minute. And I do believe that now they're basically out of time. If they cannot pull it through on Monday, they're out of time. And so I'm just concerned that not much thought were put into that. Not much thought was put into ensuring that we have free and fair elections.
Well, even if there is thought that has to be put into it, as Michael Allard said a little bit earlier, I'm not going to quote you on that, but the Prime Minister is not going to make a decision that is less advantageous to him. He's going to make a decision that is in his best interest and the interest of the NNP. He's not going to make sure that everything is in place with the other side. He's going to try to make a disadvantage for them. And on that note, we know that Deacon Mitchell is due to arrive in New York on the 21st. Michael, you being a strategist and you being in the political scene on the circuit for a while, what would you advise the NDC at this point in time?
Well, sometimes when you give advice, they feel that you're opposite. I think he spent too much time on social media, too much time traveling here and there, and not enough time where it matters. Where it matters is on the ground. Social media is important, but social media don't win elections, my brother. You have to go in every nook and cranny and knock on doors and stay in the villages late at night and hear the cries of the people. Go into the fish market, go in the market on the ground, hit the streets and let people become familiar with you. You know, you just can't come in overnight and say I am representing the party. I expect one seat except the incumbent. I think that in the St. Andrews area, the weakest link in the St. Andrews area is St. Andrews Southwest. Mm-hmm. And yet the candidate there is very weak in terms of his personality. He has not been on the ground interacting with people as he ought to, and so on. So the candidates themselves have a lot to do with it. If the candidates were grassroots, rooted in the community, it didn't matter because they have what you call home court advantage. Right. In St. Andrews, you have a man running in the southeast. He's from Laddie, Richmond, and then you have a man in Southwest that's from Telescope. So that in itself is kind of weird, huh? One would thought that you would put the candidate where he's known in the community where he grew up, and where he has friends, he has support, he has a history, and there is some sentimental feelings about he representing an area. But now you're going into a different area, you got to make new friends, and I think basically some of the new candidates are depending on the strength of the party rather than their own. But in order to win an election, you, the candidate, must bring in 20 to 25% of your personal support. Right. And if you're coming at the area where as I said, you have home court advantage, like you're maybe from a big village, but carry. I remember in 1995, Adrian Spaceman Mitchell, he ran St. Patrick's East. The GLP candidate Crawford Best beat him in every polling division except when he went home to River Valley, where he had home court advantage, and he won big in River Valley.
Cindy B saying here in real time. Cindy B is commenting and saying, "Well, Cox is not from the South. Does that solve his disadvantage, or would it advantage him because of the strength of the incumbent?"
I think NBC has some advantage in the South. I mean, I feel that the people in the South may feel somewhat insulted to have an outsider come in and represent the most prestigious constituency in the country. I think the fella, Andy, he's a grassroots fella. He's on the ground, and he has a chance. He's a newcomer, but not necessarily a new face. He's relatively known to the people in the South. So I think in that case, with Cox there, I think it's a toss-up. I think he can pull it off. The fact that he's on the ground, he's friendly, he's interacting with people and so forth, as opposed to a stranger coming in. And that's the same thing that's happening with some of the NDC candidates in reverse and the other constituencies, where they're relatively unknown, they're new faces and so on. They have not yet been grounded in the communities.
Right.
And that's how I see it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's take a quick call. We got a call on the phone line. Call on the line, go right ahead.
Adrian, what's up?
I'm good. How you doing, caller? Where are you calling us from?
I'll call in from Miami.
Miami, go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, as I said, when I look at it, listen to the Prime Minister message and everything, and he have a tragedy that he know what he's doing That's why he really called that date so early,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everything to me, everything in his favor. That's why he called it. And the thing about the NDC has a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. You have a tough hill to climb because number one, their base cannot win election. They have to have other people from the outside, swing voters. They have to convince these people because the base alone cannot win election. It will never win election.
Right.
So they have a lot of work to do. And most of the people there is new people. The people already know them.
Mm-hmm.
Even the leader, people already know him much. It's a lot of work, man.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe that's a stepping stone for him. If they keep him, if they lost election and they keep him, and he could get a grassroots and start, But right now, I don't think he gonna make it this wrong.
All right. Thank you,
He
caller.
wouldn't make it.
Thank you, caller. We appreciate your input. All right. Feel free to jump in here, guys. The caller is saying, kind of basically what Michael is saying. Janice Sampson, you want to jump in on what the caller is saying?
Yeah, I want to. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Okay. No, basically, I mean, the campaign has really started in earnest. And I do not believe that the NDC is going to sit down and allow themselves to be railroaded and in the type of way that's being projected here. I believe that the NDC does have their strategy. I believe that the NDC was not sitting there doing nothing. I think they expected that the bell could have been rung any moment. And I believe that there are high level strategists within the organization that are right now putting their heads together at the table and figuring
Right.
out the next move. I do not believe that every candidate is going to possibly win their seat, but I do believe that there are candidates, including the leader of the opposition, that has a very, very good chance of pulling it off, especially in St. David's, and that's where I'm from. I believe the people on the ground in St. David, I had an opportunity to do some walkthrough in the various communities in St. David, and I believe that he stands a very, very good chance. So it's very important that we do not transmit some type of that the NDC is finished or they can't make this happen, because it's all about the people. It doesn't matter what we think or what we believe, whether we are strategists, we are people in the diaspora. At the end of the day, what wins election is the vote, and we do not have a clear indication as to how many people are registered and on whose side they're on. There could be upsets. There could be surprises, but I do not believe that the NDC is sitting down and and just scratching their heads right now, wondering what to do. I really do believe they have a good strategy and things have started in earnest. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the Grenadian people have something to look forward to for the ones that are wanting change. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I allowed Janice to go first, because that's the point that I was making. I don't think that we should take NDC for granted. Sorry, guys. I don't think that we should take NDC for granted. I don't think so, on the grounds that this NDC and the young man Ali Dowden said this is a new NDC, is a different NDC to that we accustomed to or we have known in previous elections. I do believe that the mechanisms were already, the machinery were already oiled. They were preparing for an election. They knew the bell was going to be rung at some point. I believe that they put all the infrastructures in place to ensure that when the bell is rung, that they could run a clean and smooth campaign. I know. I was just been told that the NDC had met behind closed doors today, in anticipation of tonight's announcement. I don't know what happened, but I was just reliably informed that they were meeting behind closed doors today. So I believe that we can't count them out of the race as yet. Yes, they have an uphill task, and as Mr. Batiste would have rightfully said, a lot of them are not known, but I want to contradict that to an extent. We know most of them. We have seen them. Ron Redding was in the Senate. Kareem James was also in the Senate. Joseph Andel has been acting political leader. I believe, I'm not sure if he was substantive, but I know he was acting political leader. Tiffin Andrews has been there from the last election, continued to work. Gloria Thomas is known within certain parts of St. Andrews. I believe she has been involved in different projects and so on. Tessa Saint Cyr is a senator, or now a former senator as of Monday. David Andrew, he's an educator. He's a part of the church community, well established and well known in the Pentecostal circle. So we know some of them. They do have grassroots. Jonathan Lacrette is a former principal, former educator. He's known within the constituency. Dickon Mitchell, how much we say, he's not known in the political arena, he is known in the legal fraternity. He's known in the legal arena, and so we know some of them. We have seen them around. You understand? Right. I believe that they have some foot in the mud. How deep in the mud? That's another question. It's an entirely different conversation. But I don't think that we should put them aside and say they're not ready. I do believe that Grenadians at this point already made up their mind where they are going in terms of their vote. The next few weeks is just to concrete it. It's just to solidify it. It's just to give them more information so that they could form a more conscientious decision.
Right.
But I believe by now that a lot of Grenadians have already made up their mind.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact,
hold on, sorry, John. It's not to cut you. Let's just jump to the phone lines really quickly. We got a call coming in. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Hi, Junior. Good night. I'm from Grenada.
Hi, go right ahead, Grenada.
Yeah, I just want to make a reference to the last caller that called from, I think it was Florida.
Yes.
Yeah. He mentioned that NDC doesn't have a base to win the upcoming election. And from my knowledge, I don't think that is true. If we look at what were the figures, the results of last election, NDC had a very good representation. I think what the caller missed out was the fact that there were a sizable amount of persons who did not vote.
Right.
Right? And the fact that also that the NDC had hyped up the registration awareness. It could well be that a lot of the persons who were undecided and did not vote, because in fact what I believe happened was a low turnout, and it is believed that most time you have a low turnout in an election, the incumbent always favor to win. Right. So this point cannot be ignored. That yes, NMP won the last election. NDC had a very good representation in terms of numbers, right? The margin, in my opinion, was not that extensive. Bearing in mind that you had a sizable amount of persons who did not vote.
Right.
So that if those persons this time around now, based on the awareness and the heightenedness, call for during the past few months, then there could be a turnaround.
Right.
And that's my take. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, caller. We appreciate your input as well. Again, guys, the date for the general election, the date has been officially announced, and the date is set for the the 23rd of June. I'm getting messages from people that's saying, it was a sneaky move because they wasn't ready. But I think that we have been speaking about this for quite a while and encouraging folks to get registered. The only disadvantage, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying it, that the diaspora is going to be at a major disadvantage because now they had to... Michael, you back with us?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
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 yes.
Michael. Yeah, people are saying that the diaspora audience would is at a major disadvantage at this point because a lot of them who probably would have to make a decision if they come in down to Grenada for carnival or for election. And they have to start thinking about that process. But Michael, I want to get that idea from you, that concept from you, right? Safe seats for the NNP from your perspective, from where you sit. Safe seats for the NNP. What's your projections?
Well, I would say the four in St. Andrews are pretty safe,
Uh-huh.
barring some upsets, which I can't see. I see the tongue of St. George, Northwest,
Mm-hmm.
um, St. Mark, um, St. Patrick's East. Um, I see St. John's. I see a toss up in South St. George.
Uh-huh.
I see a toss up in St. David. St. David's been a swing constituency. Right now, it's about even. The NNP have held it four terms and the C four terms. I think it's even there.
Mm-hmm.
Carriacou could be an upset there. I think Tevin is doing very well. I think he, with a lot of work and resources there, he can pull through. But as I see it here, I think the NNP has the edge in terms of they have the resources, they have the experience and the personalities and the known personalities to the voters, and I think they have the advantage.
Right. Janice, he mentioned your neck of the woods, Janice, St. David,
Right.
has been somewhat toss up, but it's very important for the NDC because, of course, that's the constituency of Deacon Mitchell. And, of course, the NDC would want to secure at least that seat for Deacon Mitchell. From you being on the ground in St. David, what's your take? How are you feeling about St. David and for NNP or NDC? Do you think it's awesome?
Um, what I can tell you, and I mean, I have to support Mr. Batiste there in terms of his expression that NNP has a lot of resources. They do have a lot of resources, and we cannot get away from that. And those resources in the coming days and weeks, we are going to see these resources being thrown left, right, and center. However, I personally believe from, like I said, what I have personally experienced, that Deacon Mitchell stands a very, very good chance. And in fact, I can confidently say that he he will win that seat in St. David. The people of St. David is a huge constituency. There are parts of St. David that has not been getting the representation that it requires or needs. The upper part of St. David, the latent area, and those places, they are very, very receptive to Deacon. The Windsor Forest, the lower part of Pedmota, Wester Hall, and these areas. I honestly believe, I am fully convinced, as a matter of fact, that Deacon is going to win St. David. I know there has been some things being thrown around about him not getting the support from key NDC members in the constituency, like Brother Persuader and these kinds of guys, but that could not be further from the truth. I can tell you one thing about Persuader. Even if he's mad at something, he's an
Now you're still there with us.
sorry about that.
Yeah. All right. No problem.
And my cat just introduced himself to you guys. Yes,
Yeah.
but these guys are going to really step up, come forward, and really put their weight behind Deacon. And you guys, I believe that St. David is really going to see a movement of people coming from. And I'm telling you, I feel as if the people in the diaspora, if they're going to make a choice between Carnival and coming down in June, even if it's not, they're not able to vote, if they're not registered, I believe that there are people who are so committed and so believe in this movement that they are going to leave the diaspora, and they're going to go down to Grenada. There's going to be boots on the ground, and people's minds are easy to change. I have had the opportunity to work with Deacon closely. I believe in his vision. He has the ability to reach people and to connect with people. I have seen that firsthand. So I have to believe that there is a almost, I believe, 90% chance that Deacon is going to pull that off in St. David. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to be a hard blow for the NDC. I don't think there is anyone who actually believe that the NDC will have a clean sweep or anything like that. But there's a lot of people who are counting on Deacon Mitchell taking that seat in St. David. So that's how I feel.
Michael, do you think
I want to.
Michael?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I am hoping that she's right, but based on past experience, when the NNP has a gripe with an individual, the consolidated fund is thrown into that constituency,
Right.
they'll go for broke. I see it happen in Southwest. I've seen it happen Southwest in Danjus. I've seen it happen in Northeast, St. George, with Nas, and so on. So the NNP is going all out to win that seat in St. David's for several reasons. There is bad blood between Deacon and the NNP. The fact that he represented WRB and won a case against them in international court. There's goals to settle there. And let's make no bones about it. They're going all out to ensure that he doesn't win. And they pump money, a lot of money and a lot of resources, a lot of human resources on the ground, a lot of projects are taking place. And you could look for them going into a full court press on that in that seat. So while I say
totally agree with you, but the NDC's hand is not tied in St. David's. And while they may not have the resources as the incumbent, believe you me, I believe that a lot of resources are going to go into St. David. It's important. So yeah, that's how I feel.
I
We
too
have
want
to
to
send a message
disagree.
of hope. We have to send a message of hope, and we cannot be here and just talking like, oh yeah, all is lost. No, it's not.
I want to
It's totally
disagree.
not.
I want to disagree with Mr. Batiste. The NMP this election cycle has centered their campaign around St. Andrews for whatever reason. We have seen more meetings in St. Andrews than we have seen in any other part of the country. And if you look, the only other place that they have had a meeting so far, a public meeting, is in St. Patrick's. And that's because they're also very weak in St. Patrick's. Joseph Andel has been making a lot of waves in St. Patrick's, and you just need to look on social media, read, and you would see it. I'm in the diaspora, and I can tell you because I've seen the conversation. In St. Andrews, one of the only show seat that the NNP do have right now is that of Delma Thomas. Very sure. Kate, though she has been working, her seat is still very rocky. It's still very rocky. It may not be for the NDC candidate. It may be just something that needed to be done that was not done and has caused voters to fall out of touch. But the NNP has centered the campaign around St. Andrews. They recently announced a project in St. David, so therefore they are putting some emphasis on St. David as well. But primarily, a lot has happened. Delma has had a community meeting in St. Andrews. Kate has just had one last night. Last night we had the launch of the ladies from Delma and Kate. Now we had the launch of Auntie Emma and Yolan. A lot of emphasis have been placed on St. Andrews. So far, we haven't seen anything happen in St. Mark's, in St. John's, in both Northwest and Northeast St. George's.
Yeah, could it be that
Southwest.
the NP thinking that those seats are safe?
I don't think so, because the NDC candidates have been making waves in these constituencies. From the moment that they have been announced, they have been hitting the ground. They have been in the village. They have been.
Okay, hold on. Michael, go ahead.
which one of the constituencies in St. Andrews they've been making waves in? Because I mean, I am in the St. Andrews area. I am on the ground, and I don't know, you're in the diaspora, and you might be seeing something that I am not seeing. While I'm not saying that there cannot be an upset. Now, the NNP recognized the strategic importance of St. Andrews. It's a block. It's a 4 seats there. And if you take any party that carries the 4 seats in St. Andrews wins the election. And he knows fully well that if he takes the 4 in St. Andrews, he can hold well in the tongue of St. George, his Northwest, St. Patrick's, St. Mark's, and either one, either the East in St. Patrick's East or St. John's, he's home free. And hence the reason why all the emphasis is placed on St. Andrews. And I think the St. Andrews is about the weakest spot in the NDC. And so far, you have not had a candidate that have any kind of home court advantage into St. Andrews that can rattle the NNP in St. Andrews. I mean, let's face it, the meetings probably is not as enthusiastic as it used to be, but yet still they're holding strong there. And most of the NDC candidates are unseen. They have not yet landed. Maybe now that the elections are called, maybe their visibility might be more now. But in the last 3-4 months, I can tell you, I have not seen that sort of support for them in that parish.
And Mr. Batiste, we can go back and forth on this. But I agree with you. If you take the 4 in St. Andrews, then you win the election. But I also want to challenge you to say, if you're confident that the 4 in St. Andrews is already yours, the NNP would have channeled their emphasis into St. David's, because St. David's has always been the toss-up seat. But St. David's has always been a strong NDC seat. And NDC has always had inroads in St. David's.
I don't know how you're saying that with conviction. In 1995 or 1984, Danny Williams won that seat. 1990, Michael Andrews held it for 2 terms. Jocelyn came back in 99, he won it. Led came in, he won it 2 terms in 2003, 2008. The present incumbent held it for 2 terms. So it's about even. So it's kind of hard to say it's a strong one way or the other, because the both parties equally represent the constituencies from since 1984. And I just outlined to you who they represented was. Danny Williams in 84, he held it for NNP. Mike Andrews held it from 1990 to 95. Justin White came in 99. Oliver Joseph came in thereafter and won it twice. So they did this even.
Oliver Joseph won barely on the fact of an NNP ticket. Is he on the ground? Is he known on the ground? How strong is his presence in the community? That's a question. And notably, let me take you down to the south of the island. Nicholas Steele has not been seen around in this election cycle because he has dropped out. But if you go in the south and you ask in the south, has he been on the ground? Has his constituents seen him since the last election? The answer would have been a resounding no. And now Nolan Cox would have an uphill task of winning back the constituency. I'm saying to you, I am saying that NDC may have a lot of work to do. But when it comes to presence and getting the job done, from the moment that their candidates, their caretakers have been announced, they have been on the ground and they have been working. And I'm saying, if NNP was sure of the 4 seats in St. Andrews, or at least 3 of the 4 seats in St. Andrews, the amount of effort and work that have gone into St. Andrews may have gone into other constituencies where there are questions as if they are going to win in those constituencies.
Yeah, Michael, you could touch on that, but I also want to find out about the money in the politics, right? The money in the politics, and what role, well, we all know I'm asking answers because I think I know. But Michael, how much is funding, financing at this point in time will play into winning an election as big as this one might be? Do the going door to door, knocking on doors, meeting people intimately work better than the big rallies where you have a crowd and appealing to a wider aspect of people at the same time? What works best? And do you think that the NNP having all this big large purse of funds will basically put them in a much more advantageous position financially and otherwise? What's your thoughts on the money and the money play?
Well, money plays a great, great, great part in any campaign. The Grenadian electorate has become so sophisticated now and so politically astute that they put the pressure on the candidates to show me.
Right.
I mean, God is when you can go out and just say, I'm running for this and running for this and get away with it. You have to have money you have to spend money on the ground. You have to spend money on the ground, and the people make you spend the money on the ground. So money is very, 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 very important. Money and familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
First, they must know you, and second, you must have money to spend. Okay, if you don't have any money, you can't win election today without money. Forget that. Okay, gone are the days when you had a Sir Eric Gary that had a following that you could run. If the NNP do not spend any monies in the campaign, they lose the election. Anyway, okay?
Right.
Money is critical. Money is critical. Because some of the voters, as I said, have become so astute. They recognize that the only time they will get something from the candidates is during elections. So it is okay for the candidates to outline his personal needs when you go to when you knock on the door, they show you that the roof is leaking, the front of the door needs this and all of that. And sometimes you have to have that money to spend in the communities where you're representing. People will come up to you for books and school books and uniforms and favors and all of that. And it's unfortunate that we get to this point in our politics. But you cannot win an election in Grenada without money. Money makes the world go. Money makes the campaign go now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I say, the NDC has been preparing for this moment. I totally agree that money is needed to win an election. But like I say, I do not believe that the NDC's hand is tied by any stretch of the imagination. And if I had to give some type of advice, I would say because of the short amount of time there is for campaigning, I would say the focus should be, my opinion, on smaller village meetings, intimate village meetings. You may not be able to go to every household one on one, but those small meetings where people can really deliver their messages in a clear and concise manner, the town hall type of things where people can come and attend and shake hands with their representative and ask to get their questions answered and that type of thing. I think it would be very, very useful at this stage of the campaigning.
Yeah. Again, guys, we're getting your view on it. It has been officially announced. Election date in Grenada will be on Thursday, June 23rd, 2023. Nomination day for candidates will be Wednesday, June 1st. Police will vote on June the 20th. Parliament would be dissolved on Monday, this coming Monday, the 16th, which gives folks 1 day from Monday. By Tuesday, the writ would be released, and there would be no registration after that point. So you have only Monday to go out and vote. Not vote, to register, sorry. Voting is on the 23rd, all right? Voting is on the 23rd. So you only have Monday to go out and register if you have not yet registered to vote. And we're getting your views on it. 718-701-5720. We got Janice, we got Samson, of course, on the line as well. We have Mr. Michael Batiste, but we want to have this conversation with you guys. So you could call us up on the WhatsApp or you could call us directly on the line. Again, the number is 718-701-5720. Michael, I want you to touch on this here. I don't know, are you on the background so you see what's been happening. Are there going to be? Is there going to be a Ali Dowden effect in this election? Hold on, Michael. Before you answer that, I have a call coming in on the line. Let me take that call and I'll come to you on that. Caller, you live? Where are you calling us from? Ali Dowden. Hello. Caller, turn down. Listen, caller, if you're watching us, I want you to turn down your background. So your computer, your TV, whatever, turn that down and listen to us on the phone lines. All right?
June 23rd, 23, you're saying. So be careful.
23rd, yes. Okay. Yes, caller. All right. I was
Junior, I'm
corrected.
curious, what is the Ali Dowden effect?
Oh,
What
the
is
Ali
it?
Dowden effect.
Well, all right.
Okay, let me see if Mr. Michael Batiste understand what might be an Ali Dowden effect.
None at all whatsoever. Ali Dowden is just an upset. He's just mad. He's mad at the NDC. First he was in the GLP, then he went to the NDC. He ran twice against the Prime Minister. It becomes a habit. He loves to run, so he's not running this time, so he's upset. He does not have the kind of clout or the following to make any difference in the campaign. And I don't think that would be a factor nowhere. He's running in the Northwest. He didn't do very well. He's not a known political person other than being somebody who is true in schools. They knew he couldn't win the seat, but he's just a standard bearer of the NDC. I don't think he'll make much of a difference. I mean, I think if Tobias Clement were to jump on the NMP platform, which I am hearing that he might, I think psychologically that may help in the Northeast because Clement himself represented that area on twice. He was good on the ground. He visited a lot of homes. He's known to a lot of people. He probably command about a 5 or 6% of the personal support in that area. I think he would make a difference. And the fact that he was the opposition leader, he left the NNP. He was in the parliament. He was more or less reaching out to the NDC, and they shown him. I think if he jumped on the NNP platform now, I think that would be a significant blow to the NDC. The fact that they were collaborating, and it was rumored or it was expected that he would be named the candidate, and the fact that he was bypassed as the candidate in favor of someone else. If he were to return to the NNP, I think that would be a great boost for the NNP.
Right. Well, the Ali Dowden effect. If there is an Ali Dowden effect, I'm not saying that that there is an Ali Dowden effect, but earlier this week, I think it was yesterday, he spoke on the NNP platform where he mentioned that he is endorsing the NNP candidate, which is Nimrod Oliver, and he spoke about the possibility of infighting that exists in the NDC with the candidate from St. David's there, the former leader of the party spoke about that. So I'm thinking if his influence or his information that he has now could be used against the NDC. So that would what I term my Ali Dowden effect, if there is such a thing as the Ali Dowden effect.
Dismiss that.
I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since there is a record of him saying the most horrible thing about the current prime minister. If you put it side by side, the impact of the quote unquote Ali Dowden effect and what he's said in the past, it's like the guy has no credibility. So
well, Peter,
you could dismiss that.
What's his name? Help me out here, guys. Peter. He was with the. Help me out, guys. I just got a brain fog. What's his name? Peter. He was in the NDC and now with NNP.
Peter David?
Peter David, thank you. Peter David said horrible things about the Prime Minister as well. The most horrible things about the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister has said horrible things about him as well. And he's a big member there of the NNP. So,
But Junior, you cannot compare Peter David to Ali Dowden. I've been making this comment on Facebook for the last couple of days. People in Northwest, I have it on good record, have said to the current NDC team that it's not that they always wanted to vote Dr. Mitchell. I always wanted Dr. Mitchell to remain in the position that he is. It's just that NDC never gave them a viable option.
Right.
And Dowden sat there for 2 election cycles. There's no Dowden effect. There's no Ali Dowden effect. I think what Ali Dowden essentially has done is commit political suicide. What he should have done is that even if he feels as if the party has sidelined him and put him on the side for a new candidate, what he should have done is to work with that candidate and show his loyalty, his commitment. But there's also some speculation that he also wanted to run not in Northwest but Northeast St. George's, and allegedly, and of course, Ron Redhead was ultimately chosen by whichever measuring stick, and so he fell out of grace with the party and decided to cross the floor. Now that is within his right. But I think it is ludicrous for us to sit here and compare Ali Dowden to Peter David. There's simply no.
I'm not comparing them. I'm just comparing the things that was said. The Prime Minister.
But Peter David is a winner. Peter David is a winner. Peter David
Exactly.
won.
Exactly.
And he's a national political figure. Ali Dowden is a wannabe. Ali Dowden ran a few times. He lost. I mean, he was just thrown in there to
fill numbers.
Yeah, so I don't feel that he would have any impact on what he has to say. I don't think is of any interest to anyone. I mean, to be honest with you.
I guess it's
And then
one less person doing work on the ground in that constituency.
Actually, no. Actually, what has happened in Northwest, because Northwest is one of the seats that I've been closely watching. Jonathan Lacrette is a friend of mine, and so I've been watching. More actually persons have come out. More persons are now associating themselves with the party. There's a stronger team in that area, and Mr. Lacrette has been making. I'm not saying this because he's my friend. I'm saying that he actually have been making waves. And not only that, you have to also remember that Jonathan Lacrette is grassroots to that area. The gentleman taught in that area for 20 years. He was a principal in that area for 20 years. And so he has a level of connectability with certain levels of the constituency. And that is the reason why the statement that Mr. Dowden should have stayed and worked with the new candidate, and make a whatever indent. He chose to cross the floor, but I think essentially what Dowden has done, the only effect that Dowden has had, is to cause political suicide on himself. He has essentially put himself over country, over party, over everything else. It's all about, and then further to add insult to injury, has gone on Facebook and talk about how much money was spent in campaign and how much money he's paying back for and all of that nonsense. The gentleman clearly is emotional and he's acting on his emotion.
Yeah. And Michael, you spoke about Tobias Clement, and that is a name we have not seen on the political circuit at all. Tobias I think that he has been very quiet in terms of his political intention. I have been trying to get to Mr. Tobias Clement, who's a good friend of mine, by the way. In the past few weeks, I've been trying to get Mr. Tobias Clement to comment on his political future, because essentially he has not announced himself to be a part of the NDC officially. He has not officially announced himself to be a part of the NN. Well, of course, he's not a part of the NNP, and he is the lone opposition leader. I don't know if you guys have Michael, if you're in touch or you know what's happening, what is his political future?
Well, I don't think he has much of a future. He has been in opposition. He has not been a member of government. Um, he has refused to give up his job in SGU to serve in government. He had the opportunity to do so. The fact that he was a two-time MP, um, he was negotiating. I think there was some communication between himself and the NDC as to running on an NDC ticket there. I don't know what the situation was, but somehow I think the other guy got the nod over him. I'm hearing from reliable sources that he may, and I said if he does, I think that in itself would boost the NNP and say that look, he ran away from us, and now he's back. And I don't think he will have a lot of kind things to say about the NDC, because it's the first time in the history of our country we see that a party does not have a deputy, and then we see now that the opposition leader can make anybody's team. So there's a lot of history in the making in this election. There, the first time we're going into an election where the leader of the opposition is not on a team, and that's rather unfortunate, because I think he would add some credit. He would give a little strength to any team that selected him. The fact that he was leader of the opposition, he was in parliament with a lot of critical legislation, and he would be able to elaborate on some of them. And I think it was a mistake not to have him on a team.
Yeah. And let's not forget how he got to be opposition leader. Of course, he was a member of the NNP. He won his seat on the NNP going into this election, and separated then and became the lone opposition leader. Some people are saying that they think that he did really overplayed his hand. So Mr. Grimes mentioned that there.
Well, you know, Junior, if you want to look at it seriously, one may give NNP some credit, and they would say, look, Peter David was a member of the NDC. He left the NDC or whatever in Chester Humphrey, and Mitchell opened up the door and gave them a seat in the House.
Right.
You may say Tobias Clement was knocking on the door and he was left outside of the door. You may say Terry Forrester left NNP, and he also was knocking on the door of the NDC, and he was left on the outside. So if you're talking about inclusion, one may jump to the conclusion that the NNP appeared to be more inclusive of accepting others other than the NDC, because when you look at it now, they have not gone out and reached out to anyone except from their clique and their circle. And I think that in itself would be, NNP can brag about that and say, look, we are an inclusive party. Look, Peter was one of our brutal enemies, and now look, he's here, he's comfortable with us. We gave him a chair, he's sitting down in the House. Chester Humphrey, as we know, historically was against us, and now he's here. Whereas the NDC can't say that. Everyone who came from somewhere else, they were turned away from entering the NDC fold and on the outside. I mean, those are facts, huh?
Yeah.
I have to totally disagree with that, because I happen to know that there was some serious engagements with Mr. Tobias Clement, and it did not work out for whatever reason, and he had a choice in the matter. I also know that Terry Forrester is not on the outside, as you might be implying. He may not be running as a minister to become a minister, but he's definitely not on the outside as you're implying. So to say that that's factual, I'll have to disagree with you there, Mr.
As a matter of fact, in South St. George, both Terry and Andy was put forward as viable options. A vote took place via the NDC committee or council there, and they chose Andy, and Mr. Forrester gladly accepted and continued his assistance to the party. I know from, as I said, I have been doing my research. I know that conversations ensued between the National Democratic Congress and Tobias Clement, and I think it's one of the same reasons why the Mr. Clement and NMP could not rub shoulders, because he had certain requirements that he stood by, and he's not budging on them. He's not moving on them. This is what he wants. This is what he must get. And so he fell out of luck with the NMP, and it just couldn't work out with the NDC same way. I don't think. I think, to be honest, personally, and this is my personal opinion, I think that Mr. Clement has come to the end of the road in his political journey. I don't think that while he does have a very favorable following still in Northeast, I believe a lot of people have fallout of favor with him, and they believe that he's on his own personal agenda and not really on any particular agenda to uplift the constituency. That's just what I'm the sense I'm getting that's coming out.
All right. Let's jump to the phone really quickly, guys. We got another caller on the line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
Good night, Junior. I'm calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead, Grenada.
And I would like to state tonight that as a young person, I've never attended any of the constituency meetings. However, I would have been listening to both political parties online. And this year would be my very first year voting, not because I just turned 18, but this is the first election that I'm very much interested in. And I must say that I will be voting for the National Democratic Congress. And I'm saying that because there are many young persons like me who want to hear issues being discussed. And while I believe that in the early time, NDC was not addressing much of the issues, I think in recent times they have been doing a lot of groundwork. And so I know there are many persons like me, and we are tired of the current Prime Minister. It is nothing personal against him, but I think his time is over. I think he should have gone on and passed the baton to someone else. And because he did not do that, there are many of us young persons who were undecided voters. We are not NDC supporters. We are not NMP supporters, but we just want change. And I think this time around, we have a lot of young persons who want change. So we will be voting for the National Democratic Congress, not because we are NDC, but simply because we want change. Thank you.
Thank you, Kola. Thanks for your input on that. Again, guys, giving you an opportunity to voice your opinion on the call, 718-701-5720. As we mentioned earlier, the official date for the election has been announced earlier today by the Prime Minister. I may have said an incorrect date earlier, so let me just correct myself so no one contradicts the information that I'm given. The date for election is June 23rd, 2022. Right. If I said 2023 earlier, I just wanted to see you guys was paying attention. It's Thursday. And you guys were paying attention. Like, what you just saying 2023? You lose your mind? No. Okay. The date is Thursday, June 23rd, 2022. All right. Nomination day for candidates will be June 1st, right? Police will be voting on June 20th. Now, Parliament would dissolve on Monday, the 16th, which is this Monday. And that's will be the final day to vote, guys. The final day to register, not the final day to vote. You got to say it right, Janice, because you know how that thing does go. But we're still giving you guys an opportunity to call in and chat with us live. Yes. We still have Mr. Michael Batiste on the line. Michael, you still there?
Yes,
Yes,
I'm here.
Yes. The undecided voters. I know there's no way for we to scientifically know where the undecided voters are going, but we could assume. And you on the ground, you probably got an opportunity to speak to people. Where do you think the undecided are swinging, Michael?
Well, I think that there's a large block of voters that say none of the above, and rightfully so. Since 1985, two parties that governed Grenada is NNP and NDC. And when you look at the problems that the country faces one may ask yourself, ask thyself, what is the change? It's not really. We never had a change since 1979. Grenada never really had a change. What we had was exchanges where the NNP and the NDC are all one and the same party. They were all together in 85, and then NDC formed in 87 out of confusion over the incidentally same pension issue. So there's a lot of people in the country that are saying, you vote, you don't vote, same thing. What difference does it make with NNP and NDC? They look at the state of the country. The only two parties have governed Grenada since 1985, and so this block of voters are there. A lot of them are crying out for something new. Maybe some of them have sentimental feelings to the GOLP. A few of them maybe, and there are some young people that just become so apathetic about the voting that they just don't vote. A lot of young people are not voting, and they're not voting for a particular reason because they feel that neither parties have really advanced programs to help them. So it's difficult to say how the undecided voters go. And I heard my caller said earlier that a lot of people did not vote. Well, there's a reason why people don't vote. They don't vote because they don't like neither of the parties, and we have to accept that as a fact. And until something pops up where maybe they see it overbearing that they have to vote against a party as they did in 2008. 2008, a united opposition came out, and when I say opposition, I'm talking about the people, not exactly parties. They bond together and they voted out NNP in 2008. That was a united opposition that got together and voted. Since then, you have a lot of people just sitting on the fence and not voting. So there's room for a serious third party. And I think after this election, if the NDC didn't win this election, it means that if they did not win, or if, for heaven's sake, if they were to get another 15-0, that could very well set of them, because it means that it would be the first party that have received a 4-15-0. The electorate have given 4-15-0. So I think after this election, it could be an elimination for either party. If the NDC win this election, then you could look at the NNP in oblivion, right? If the NNP were to win and they win decisively, then the NDC will have an uphill task. So there is room for a third party, and one cannot place the undecided voters in the column of anyone. While it is true to say that the NDC has not won an election outright by themselves, because in 1990 they got 7 seats, and it was a coalition government that that served in 1990. In 2008, it was a progressive coalition that came together and elected and put NDC in office in 2008. So the undecided voters now are critical, and we don't know how they will vote. Seriously.
Right. Janice, I see that smoke on your face. I could tell something is going through your mind. What's your take? Where the undecided voters
You
going?
see what I'm doing here? I'm
Yeah.
drinking water.
Where does the undecided voters break, in your opinion, Janice? I kind of think I know where you're going with your opinion, but I'll let you speak anyway. The undecideds.
Okay, so I am no stranger to Grenada politics. In fact, in in 2013, I was a campaign manager in St. David. I am no stranger to the ground. I am still very, very well connected in the communities, and I strongly disagree with a lot of the comments that this gentleman is making. And at the end of his commentary, it was clear that he may not necessarily be a supporter of either of the party. He's perhaps one of those people, one of those persons that are currently undecided and perhaps has an agenda for promoting a third alternative. So do I place a lot of credibility in 100% in his judgments? Perhaps not. So thus my smirk. But yeah, That's the short answer to your question.
So the question of Michael Michael Batiste, your intention or your political affiliation. We do know that you had or you are, I don't know if you are, but I know that was something that we spoke about before, your intention of recreating a new GOLP party for this election. What is your political linen for this election? What are
Well,
your association, Michael?
there is no doubt about it. It's an open secret that I am GOLP. I don't think the GOLP can be seriously considered for this election. I think we dropped the ball, waste a lot of time in bickering over insignificant matters. I think after this election, I think things will settle down and maybe the party would rebuild and get itself in a better seat for the next election. I don't think this is out of it completely. The
And
GOP
people
does,
and someone said that GLP the GLP party died with Gary. And
well, I've heard that over and over, and I didn't really want to respond to that tonight. But since that you mentioned it, and I would ask how the NDC got 250 now. They're not dead. They're facing not two but 350 now. They're not dead. The GLP has never been in that situation. All the GLP did was stop contesting because the GLP did not have a structure in place to contest these elections, and they just chose not to contest. If they were to resurrect and they were to go back to the people and got the same results as other parties got, then I would say they're dead. But for the time, I don't think it is fair to say that the GLP is dead. I think there's a lot of support out there for a third party, including the GLP. And after this election, the country will settle down, and I think we will see what happens after that. I don't think the country will go in time and time again with this NNP and NDC exchanges over and over. I think the time is coming very soon where one of these parties will give way. If, as I said, if the NNP were to win this election and they win convincingly, the NDC has a daunting task. If the NDC were to win this election with Dr. Mitchell heading out, the NNP could come just like the MBPM, the Patriotic Movement. I think so. I think what the cohesiveness in the NNP is having someone like Dr. Mitchell who has had power and understand the politics. He's a good politician. He was able to put a team together and keep his NNP going. I think when he departs, I think you will see the same problem like the NNP will have the same problems as other party have at the moment.
right.
I want to agree.
Right ahead.
I want to agree in part with what Batiste said. I Janice, I want to agree in the sense that we do need a third option in Grenada. It has been a toss between NNP and NDC from way back in the 80s come forward, and I think it's time for us to see fresh minds. With that being said, I think while the name NDC has remained, the party itself has evolved tremendously over the past few years. There were moments when it was down after Brizan and so on would have left, and the party had to rebuild itself. It rebuilt itself under Tillman Thomas and came back in 2003 and would have won a few seats in the House and came back and won in 2008 and would have gone down again with all the issues that were happening within the party and is yet to have come back up. However, this new corp of politicians in the NDC is promising. I do believe that they have a strong argument in the political arena. But on the back of that, I also think that we do need a third option in Grenada. The issue with having a third is that in the event that this party is able to be strong enough to get a few seats in the parliament, you have a situation where you're looking at a coalition government, and if you have a coalition government, you have a situation as what is happening in St. Kitts, in the
But
Federation of St. Kitts.
how did that third option work out for TGM?
Well, there we go again. But
A lot of people will say.
I want us to closely look at what is happening in St. Kitts, where there is a unity government or a coalition government, and now we have a power issue where it was agreed that the Prime Minister now, Dr. Timothy Harris, should not serve more than 2 terms, and he's gearing up for a 3rd term. And Sean Richards, who is the deputy, was the deputy, wants to be prime minister, and so on and so forth, and all of that conversation. That might be the faith in Grenada if we have a third party and that party is able to garner support. I do believe that GOLP, as one of the founding parties, political organizations in our country, could have had a strong voice in the political arena in Grenada, but that voice has to come through the union. If ever there was to be, it had to come through the union, and clearly the GOLP, the party, and the Grenada Maritime and Manual Intellectual Workers Union are 2 separate entities, and that is what is killing in GOLP's chance of ever coming back or ever regaining fire. I don't believe it's dead. I believe it's dormant. But we have a situation where the head of the GMMIW is a strong NNP. And so you have that toss there going on for GLP that they need to fix if they ought to have any viable conversation. This past week there was two motions that went before the House to add two symbols to the ballot paper. And I'm saying we have a situation, and this is not just in the political arena, it's across the board. It's even in the church. Everybody wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to be the follower. We can't have all leaders and don't have followers, because what will they be leading? That is the issue, and that is the issue in GLP. That is the issue with a lot of these small political parties that are coming up, because everybody has a bright idea. Nobody wants to say, okay, listen, as Betty said, there's always been a collision in NDC. Let's come together. I believe that this is the first time that NDC was able to attract all 14 other candidates under one single leader.
Yeah.
They have not
And funny you said that, right? Funny you said that, something that just came to mind there. I remember Tobias Clement. I'm back in Tobias Clement again. He's a part of the conversation. Tobias Clement saying very, very early up in the game that in order to beat the NNP, there have to be some sort of coming together of all these political parties, and
he
they
did say
have
in the parliament, yes.
right. So we didn't see that happening at all. In fact, TGM dropped out. In
TGM, by all wits and fancy, was always doomed to fail. And that is because I personally believe that Dr. Patrick Antoine never separated his allegiance to the NNP. I believe that he had followed to the NNP and thus decided, well, let me put forward a party to challenge the NNP. But has he ever been totally 100% committed? That's a question and a conversation in and of itself. But as I've said, under this new NDC banner, this is the first time since probably the inception of NDC that they were able to attract new and young talent who's up to the task of actually being interested in governance, being interested in the politics of the country, and so on and so forth. But before this has happened, what you saw happen is that a band of young people separated themselves from the NDC and started to do their own thing across the island. We're talking about the Joel Greenidge, you're talking about the Ron Redder, the Tevin Andrews. They I don't know if anybody remember, but they were having little pocket meetings around the island for whatever the intentions and purpose were. Those were little, and I believe, I could be wrong, don't come for me, I could be dead wrong, that they were looking to start their own thing, their own political entity. It's good to see that they have reunited with NDC and able to work under that banner. But the question is the timing And I know there are a lot of conversation about NDC and the deputy political leader not having a seat. That is not a fuss. In the English-speaking Caribbean, it's not a fuss.
Right.
And I believe that it gives the deputy political leader the opportunity to do some serious work. While it is that the other candidates, the political leader and so on and so forth, go on to work in the constituency, the deputy political leader now has the mandate to run the administrative aspect of the party and to get the party on a solid footing. Because if it is that they are going to win the election, this
Right.
election cycle or the next election cycle, NDC has a lot to do in terms of building a steady and solid foundation. It has been rocky and too rocky for too long.
Right. Guys, term what people have been saying, in fact, people have been terming this as the mother of all elections. It's going to be, some people are predicting a heavy turnout. Michael said he don't believe that there will be a heavy turnout. But whatever you feel or you deem it is going to be held on the 23rd. It's not an event, of course. It's not like it's a party. So they put your time to vote, to go into the poll will be the 23rd of June 2022. Nomination day for candidates would be Wednesday, June 1st. Police vote on Monday, the 20th. I'll just show this one out there because we got about 10 more minutes before we wrap up. Who do you guys think that the workers are in support of? I saw Mr. Grimes on there. Who do you get the sense that the workers are in support of at this particular time? Do you have any sense of it, Michael or Janice?
I feel like there are different trade unions, and from what I've been hearing and the discussions I've been having with persons, it seems as if the teachers might be inclined to go for the NDC. In
Okay.
terms of other segment of the economy, I cannot speak on that. I'm not 100% sure. I have seen a statement made by one of the trade unionists over the last May Day rally where he was sending a subtle message to his membership where he was kind of prodding them in a particular direction. But I feel very confident that the teachers who have had an ongoing battle with the NNP for back pay and for all kinds of things, I think a lot of teachers are despondent. And I have spoken to people who have said, okay, the election is called. Does that mean that once, let's say, for example, if the NNP is successful in getting back into office, would they actually launch an appeal to the court, to the High Court, to get the decision overturned so as not to deliver on the promises of pension and so forth. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And I saw Grimes there. Grimes also mentioned that and it is a fact because I spoke to the parliamentary election office and they did indicate to me that registration has gone up, which shows that some sort of interest in election 2022. And many friends of people that never voted before, they are saying that they are going to go out and cast their votes. So I guess it's safe to say that this might just be the mother of all election. But I don't think you feel that way, Michael.
No, because there is nothing exciting about this election. I think on the NSC side, the supporters are lukewarm. I think the anti-NNP supporters are always excited about voting. I think the key is which party is able to bring out the supporters to the polls. Okay, which one is able to get the supporters to come out? In terms of the youth, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, the youth are the most unreliable voting bloc in the country. Okay,
and that makes up over 70-something% of the electorate.
I agree with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you have you have to get them excited about something to come. And I think NNT, because of their programs with the Manis and the other opportunities the other opportunities that they have been offering some of the youth, I think they stand a good chance of being able to drag them out on that base. But in terms of getting our young people to come out and vote, young people are always apathetic about voting,
Right.
registering, and taking part in the process. Hence the reason why, if you want them to come out in large numbers, you have to bring in a Jamaican artist that may attract them to come out.
Well, Michael, let me ask you a question. How do you now say that it would be a low turnout and then there is an increase in registration of people
Good question.
that never voted before?
Well, the proof of the pudding would be in the eating. People could be registered and yet don't vote.
Well, it shows that at least they are moved to register, and we will take it for what it is at face value. If you're inclined to go and register, you most likely would be inclined to go and vote. The people that may not be inclined to participate at all will be those that don't even go and register. But
There's another third factor here, Junior. The registration gives you a free ID. Okay, you don't have to pay in absence of having the money to buy a passport and so on. And in most cases, when you
nonsense. You are discrediting the people of Grenada and the youths of Grenada with that comment.
Yeah,
This is nonsense. That people only register to get a
agree.
free ID. That's ridiculous. Grenadians are wise and smarter than that. Come on.
I think that this next general election is not going to suffer from a low voter turnout. I think that if you look, the conversation coming out of the NDC camp over the last 8 or so weeks has been registration. There have been motorcade after motorcade after motorcade asking people to get registered, telling people the importance of getting registered. And as Nazim Burke would have said in the last town hall meeting they had for St. George's Northwest, I believe, where in one of the previous elections, I think it was 2013, NDC had one of the biggest crowds that they ever had in an election campaign in the history of Grenada. When they do recognize that majority of that crowd was not registered to vote. And I think that NDC had learned from that. And so the conversation over the last 8 weeks or so was get registered. I have it on good grounds that even the caretakers have been helping people to get their birth papers and so on sorted so that they can get registered. I think for anybody to say that Grenadians are getting registered just to get a free ID is ludicrous. It's absurd. It is absolute madness. And I think it's a total disrespect to the Grenadian voters, the Grenadian people. Grenadians are interested in this election primarily because we're coming out of a 2-year pandemic where people were shut down, shut into their homes, where prices in cooking gas, no, not cooking gas, but gas, oil and gas and so on, would have food and utilities, all of those things would have gone up as a result of the global impact, the Russian-led invasion of Ukraine and so on and so forth. What has the government done? That's a question in and of itself. It's a conversation in and of itself. But I think that people are interested in this election for the sole reason of, one, the pension. I said it in the beginning. People need money. They were locked into their homes. They would have seen for them. Personally, I can tell you, I was locked into my house. And things that I did not notice about the house, I all of a sudden began to notice it because I'm there. I'm not going anywhere.
You're locked inside.
What is happening? They notice things. They observe things. They see things that they didn't see before. But do they have the financial capital to do that?
Yes.
No.
Let's take a quick call on the line. We got a caller on hold for quite a bit. Call you live. Let me put that caller up right now. Caller you live. Where are you calling us from?
Yes, good night, Junior. I'm calling out International.
Okay.
Good night to your panel.
Sorry to keep you
Thanks
on
for
hold so
taking my
long.
call.
I apologize. I saw you calling from my
That's
international phone
okay.
number.
That's okay. I followed the discussion as you had me on hold.
Okay.
I would like to say that I'm in agreement with the last spokesperson. I forgive me for not remembering your name, sir. But there have been a number of things happening on the ground that are quite new and has not happened before in Grenada. Take, for example, the interest that was being demonstrated leading up to this day, where we had the announcement of the date. There was so much political activities taking place leading up to this day that has never occurred in Grenada in any elections.
Right.
You all can verify me on that. So there was a transformation taking place on the ground. And that transformation actually occurred from November last year, when one Deacon Mitchell became political leader of the NDC. That changed the political climate in Grenada. A matter of fact, I think it sent chills to the Prime Minister. There was a lot taking place. There is also the young vote that should not be discredited.
Yes.
I saw it being demonstrated with what I would call the jab protests. Those jab protests took place within the COVID restrictions, and coming out of those protests was statements stating that it was like an anti-vote against the ruling party.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that needs to be put into the equation and should not be discredited. At the end of the day, this election is going to be, in my humble opinion, it's going to have a large turnout. But there are some things that are quite familiar. The NDC had problems in terms of leadership and organization. So what would have happened, especially over the last two elections, where they was not able to excite their base? There are people who want NDC voters, for example, who wanted to vote, but did not have faith in the party. That faith has been restored. The flip side to that is working against the NNP. They have lost confidence in the leadership of the NNP. So you have a reversal of the roles, Junior. And that is leading up to a very interesting election. And in my humble opinion, let's wait and see what happens on the 23rd. But I think I can predict what's going to happen, because we saw it before. The roles are going to be reversed. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak on this.
Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate your calling, staying on hold for so
You're
long.
welcome.
Appreciate you. Again, guys, we're going to wrap up shortly. We're going to be on for another 5 minutes, so let's go into closing mode. Let's start with Michael. How about that? Michael, you get the opportunity to close it off first. Your conclusion on everything that was discussed here today.
I am looking forward to a peaceful elections. I hope I am wrong and that we do have a heavy turnout. As I said before, the large block of people that did not vote lend credence to the fact that the Grenadians are still apathetic about elections. A good portion of that. I'm looking forward. I may the best party win. I hope that both sides have a chance to ventilate their plans and programs for the future of the country to the electorate. And I hope everybody comes out and listen and cast their vote on election day.
Which would be, of course, on the 23rd of June. We have to make sure that I reiterate that. Thank you so much, Michael. It's always good to have different perspectives on everything. I just want everyone to understand that, and that's what we try to do here and Right Along. Give everyone an opportunity to ventilate on their perspective on things. So, Michael, we appreciate your perspective. All right.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Janice, what says you?
Well, basically, Monday is the last day for registration. And I have always touted every single time I had the opportunity to do so, go out and vote, get registered to vote. Monday is the last day. It's going to be a long day. It's either going to be very hot or there's going to be rain. Walk with your umbrella, but be prepared. Be prepared. Walk with snacks, walk with water. wrap yourself around the corner. As my man said earlier there, that if you're in the line before 3 o'clock, you cannot be turned away. Your registration is your trump card. Even if you are someone who's on the line and you're not sure which direction you're going to cast that vote, unlike what some people are saying, this election is going to become so exciting coming towards the 23rd of June. I've been involved in it directly. I know what happens, right? There are going to be concerts all over. There's going to be village meetings all over, street light meetings. Volunteers and activists are going to be pounding the ground. And being registered is like your trump card, right? When that time comes and you realize that it's looking razor thin and it can go in any direction, then you're going to be like, oh boy, I want to vote, but you cannot vote if you're not registered. We still have one day, so all is not lost. And I hope that after this election, people would realize that we're still all Grenadians. We have to work together. We have to, I have friends on both sides, and some of us, we even talk and we say, you know what, we're not going to let this difference in political beliefs destroy our friendship. Even when Ali took his position, you know what, I respected him. I once was a very big supporter of the NNP, and he has a right as a Grenadian to choose who he affiliate himself with. You understand? So enough respect to everybody, regardless of who you decide to vote. But I believe that this election is going to be exciting. It's going to be just as exciting, even more exciting. And for those of you who are already registered, congratulations to you. If you haven't had a chance to do that, ask for the day off, get a sick leave, get what you had to do, but you must be registered. That's my piece of cake. And I believe the turnout is going to be awesome and people are going to do the right thing. That's my take.
Yeah. And also, we on a programming note, Janice is going to be hosting her brand new show coming out very, very soon. So you guys going to look out for that. Janice, brand new show.
Judy has been holding me back in the background, people. I have a confession to make. We just want to be neutral in this. He's been holding me back, but I can't promise that when I do my show, I would be as controlled in my comments because I'm very passionate about politics. I happen to be very passionate about it. I'm very opinionated as well. So you can look out for
Yeah,
that, folks. It's
that's
coming
fine.
soon.
Coming soon, Janice, brand new
Yeah.
show. And of course, Mr. Sampson, again, your closing remarks on all of this.
Well, Junior, let me just take the opportunity to say to the Grenadians, all is not lost. You have one more day, get your birth paper, go ask the granny. She may have it under the mattress. She may have it buried in some plastic bag in a box somewhere in the back of the closet. Get it out and go down and register. My heart goes out to all of those employees of the different constituency parliamentary elections offices around the island. They will have a daunting task on Monday, beginning Monday morning. I hope the system holds up. I hope that the offices remain open. But go out and get registered and do your civic duty, whichever party you choose to do it for. That's solely up to you. It's your business. I want to say all the best to the National Democratic Congress, to the new National Party, and all other parties vying for the general elections. I know that Junior is going to have me back here momentarily, and we have another conversation. But all the best to the political parties. Young people, I want to say to you that every election is an important election, but this election is very important. This is the post-pandemic election. It is the election that you're electing a government that's going to build back the economy. Because regardless of what anybody says to you, the economies of the Caribbean have suffered tremendously as a result of the pandemic. So this election is about building back the economy. This election was building a future for your children, for my children, for our children's children. And so we want to make sure that we do what is right. We want to make sure that we do it properly. When you go out there, well, Junior's going to have me back, but when you go out there on June 23rd, 2022, when you doing your civic duty, make sure you do it properly. We want no spoiled votes. Do it properly, do it effectively, and all the rest.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Great conversation. We appreciate you guys so much. Janice, of course, Samson, and on the line we had Mr. Michael Batiste. Guys, I'm still in recovery mode from the party last night. Hence my voice. I had the best time, and all the sorry. Yeah, all the yelling and screaming and all the fun that we had, that's definitely affected my vocals. But don't forget, Ride Along Live, guys. From here onwards, expect full election coverage analysis from the candidates on both sides, possibly debates, conversation, because I think that is important that we understand the issues that are at hand, right? We have been putting out a call out there to have these candidates in so we can have conversation, debates, not melee, not mawet, debates, conversation between the candidates, and we hope that they all accept our invitation so that the people could benefit from the information of what they are bringing to the forefront. All right, and we're going to continue to press on that, continue analysis on election day right here and right along. Expect the most comprehensive coverage of election ever. We are going to be having polling divisions. We are going to be getting, we're going to have cameras in almost much polling divisions. We're going to get inside updates. You are going to learn about the candidates and the victory before any other network. I could promise you that. We have the inside link connection, and the coverage of election will be right here and right along live with team coverage all over Grenada, and that would be on the 23rd. All right, but before that, we have all information. We're going to be having debates, as I said, and correspondence on election leading up to that day. Again, guys, you could always tune in to Ride Along Live for all updates and information. If you have any issues going out to the poll, as we said the last election, of course, we are going to open up a phone line that you could connect with us, and we have a direct connect with the Parliamentary Election Office to ensure that there is a clean and clear process for election, and then of course opportunity to voice your opinion if you see any irregularities in your area. So we're doing our best to ensure that it's a free and fair election, and we want you guys to help us out. But expect the most comprehensive election coverage right here on Ride Along Live. So we thank you guys for sharing. Thanks for being a part of our program. Thanks for just being there and sharing and assisting us to continue to do what we love to do here. Catch you guys again on Monday. Possibly tomorrow we may have a conversation on election. We may have a conversation on election tomorrow. Well, just keep it locked. If you haven't liked the page or followed the page, do that right now. So whenever we go live, you get that notification. The following is a paid political advertisement.
The young and dynamic political leader of the NDC is coming. Saturday, May 21st and Sunday, May 22nd. Come meet and greet the NDC political leader, Deacon Mitchell, candidate for the Tongue of St. George, Claudette Joseph, and the candidate for Carriacou and Pidi Martinique, Tevin Andrews, in a cocktail reception on Saturday, May 21st from 8 p.m. It's at 276 Belmont Avenue between Hinsdale Street and Williams Avenue. General tickets $100, VIP $200. Then on Sunday, May 22nd, the NDC leader will outline his party's plan for Grenada in a town hall from 5 p.m. at the Brooklyn Lifestyle Athletics Club on 1500 Palagot Avenue North. For tickets and info, contact 347-432-6963, 917-975-6567 or eventbrite.com. Donate for change. www.ndcgrenada.org/donate. Checks payable to NDC New York chapter.
So we're moving forward.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
And of course, guys, from the NDC camp, They are inviting everyone to attend a town hall meeting here in New York. Let me pull up the information. Again, the town hall meeting is going to be on the 21st of May. Deacon Mitchell reception. They're asking everyone to come out and support. This is brought to you by the National Democratic Congress, New York chapter. For more information on that, you could also go to the Ride Along page. The flyer is posted right there. NDC New York chapter is looking forward to see you there at that meeting where the delegation would be present. Also, the program is brought to you with the kind compliments of Buy Brand Caribbean. Yeah, Buy Brand Caribbean. Buy and eat Caribbean, organic products. Check them out online at CaribbeanOrganics.com.
My name is Junior George, founder and host of Ride Along Live, and I'm inviting you to become a paid subscriber to this platform. With your support of just $4.99 per month, you could do so much to help this platform grow and to help us help you and others around the world. We encourage you to click that link and become a supporter today. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Well, it's on Ride Along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess we call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact.
And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Ride Along Live, I mean, yeah.